Okay, what's up everybody? This is the Moleskin Notebook. It's pretty popular when it comes to stationery, and I don't see why, and I don't think it's that great. So, what's strange about the Moleskin Notebook is it just has some weird advertising to it. Really, they, okay, fine. I get it. When you advertise your product, you are trying to make it look as pristine as possible. You really want to grab people's attention and you want to make people feel a certain way about it. But a lot of the advertisement really focuses on the heritage, like the background of the Moleskin. They point out that their books were used by like Picasso and Hemingway and even Vincent van Gogh. The notebook itself though just isn't that great. Honestly, I remember getting this notebook and I was really excited to use it. I had this professor who very much advocated for them, and I'm like, this guy knows luxury stuff. Like, he really did. I bet he probably has like a freaking Eames chair at home, you know what I mean? Like, he was just one of those like very scholarly, like, type professors. Like, he's tenured and everything, you know what I mean? And so when he recommended this notebook, I'm like, this guy probably knows what he's talking about. The thing is, over time, when I started using it, it was just disappointing. And that is what I want to talk about in this video. It just isn't good. I mean, I don't use anything crazy on these notebooks, and which is kind of a shame, because when I say something crazy, I mean like the inks that I think are really good. One being the Schmidt Fineliner 6040. So if you don't know about this ink, it's just really I don't know how to explain it. It has just a good amount of like smoothness to it, but a good amount of drag as well. It's meant to feel kind of like a Sharpie, I think. I wish I could use that ink on anything that I want to. I just can't. The problem is that it often bleeds through the paper, which just means kind of what it sounds like you will see the ink on the other side of the paper. And that's fine. I get that that's like a problem in like most cases, where it's like, well, I'm not using quality paper, I'm using like some paper from like work or something, you know what I mean, from like the office. And like it's like from like Office Depot or something. But this is a Moleskin notebook. Like, it has that prestige that we talked about, that, or the heritage or whatever, it has like all those like, it presents itself in a way that makes it seem as if it's gonna be a great experience, but it doesn't take that ink well at all. It's pretty bad. It almost looks like I wrote on the other side as well, but like lighter. It's kind of crazy how much actually goes through in regards to like ghosting, which is a different element, I guess. Ghosting is when the ink doesn't go through, but you could visibly see it on the other side of the page. And I made amends with that. I'm like, fine, I'll use G2. Like, who cares? Like, G2 is pretty good. It's very popular. I know Tactile Turn, when they sell their pens, they are happy to display the fact that they're giving you that type of ink, because they say it's like the #1 sold ink in America, and for good reason. It's a good ink. But even then, it really feels like I'm using just poor quality paper, because the ghosting is still pretty severe. Writing experience is nice, but I don't know, I feel like that's part of the fact that I'm using a good gel ink. So I can't give too much credit to Moleskin in that case as well. At some points, I would really be bothered by this, because it felt like, and I kid you not, it felt like I was sometimes using like onion skins, which, if you don't know, onion skins are basically something in animation. The idea is, if you use onion skins for animation, you draw something, and then it's just easier to see it when you draw something overlaid on it. I'm not an animator, so I feel like I'm not explaining that well, but it's meant to help you, like guide you. It's like, oh, I saw why I drew over here, and so this next frame should look like this, right? It's pretty simple. So that's obviously very good if you want to reference back to what you're writing because you're gonna, or what you drew because you're gonna draw over it, but make a slight tweak. That serves no purpose here. I'm not trying to read my writing in that way. Like I'm not like rewriting stuff, but slightly different right on the back of the page. Like that's not a thing that ever happens, you know, that's not part of the process. But genuinely, it felt like onion skins because the paper is just so thin and so like see-through sometimes. It's just odd. And when it comes to paper quality, I've also seen people really dislike it specifically for fountain pens. And I am surprised that people keep trying to do that. I feel like I've seen multiple posts on Reddit about this specific phenomenon where it's like, it's not good for fountain pens, is it? And people are like, well, no, just don't, just don't even use it. Don't bother with it. And yeah, it's the paper quality just isn't there, which is so sad because I am not particularly interested in fountain pens right now, but maybe one day. And it seems like for Moleskin, I definitely cannot rely on that. Like it will not work for me. If I were to just to stick with this, fountain pens are basically out of the question. Now, the other thing that really bothers me about this notebook, wow, I can't believe it. I mean, it's common and I'm like, fine, sure. Like they're not like doing anything bad by doing this, but they only give you one bookmark. Really? I don't know. One bookmark just doesn't work for me. Like I feel like one bookmark almost implies like I'm only doing one thing with it, like one continuous project. And that's just not true. I write like if I'm thinking about, you know, well, YouTube videos, I have multiple ideas, and so there'll be around the notebook in different positions, and one bookmark isn't going to help me conveniently track where all those ideas are. And so that's a disappointment. I like the color though. That's something. The color's pretty nice. I'm looking at it right now. Like something. It's like I'm not good with colors. Is it like a purplish color? Looks pretty cool. But that, I mean, it's not good enough. But I did find one alternative to a Moleskin notebook that I feel like people in Reddit really lean towards. But if you're outside of that scope of like, you know, like really into it and you just kind of know the Moleskin brand name, you're gonna miss out. You're honestly going to miss out. But really, yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of this notebook, right? Whatever. I don't really care about it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I so much did not like this notebook that I decided to write most of my criticisms about it in that notebook, just as like a FU towards it. You know, I don't know. It's like a small win. I don't know. I was being silly. Whatever. The one notebook that I do like is this one, Leuchtturm 1917. I love this notebook. This is definitely a better writing experience. And earlier I talked about how I wanted to use that Schmidt fineliner ink on the Moleskin. Doesn't work, but on this one, it does. And it works really well. I'm not seeing as much ghosting on this one. Not to say I don't see any ghosting. I think Leuchtturm still has that problem. Some people have noted on Reddit that when they use pencils, they see ghosting and they're really upset about it. It's not the biggest thing for me. I usually just write over it. One thing I can't deal with is bleed through though. There's just a lot of little dots everywhere. That's weird to me. And that can happen on something like a Moleskin. But on this one, it just does it. And people have even said that just the basic Leuchtturm is actually really good with fountain pens. So you're not limited to having to just use gel pens or ballpoint pens. If you want to one day explore fountain pens, you don't have to worry about anything. This notebook is good enough, more than good enough. There's one other thing that I really like about this notebook is that it has 2 bookmarks. Earlier I said that, yeah, I work on multiple projects. Let me kind of move around my notebook and be able to track that well. And 2 bookmarks lets me do that. And on top of that, and this is what I really like, each page is numbered. So I could literally just remember which page I wrote on and go from there. And if I can't remember which page I wrote on or what project it's on or whatever, there's a context table in the beginning. That's perfect. Just write down the title or whatever heading thing that you have and the page number that corresponds to it. Honestly, I really do love this notebook. I hope it gets more attention. Just because, yeah, I feel like Moleskin, it seems to still be like a number one option, and I don't understand how that is the case when Leuchtturm 1917 is around. Moleskin might have a great heritage, but that does not mean it is a great notebook. There are options, and right now, at least for me, I know Leuchtturm is definitely a way better one. Well, that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching, and comment down below. I would love to hear what you guys think about these notebooks or any other notebooks that you think are worth recommending out there. But yeah, have a good one.